Good morning, darlings. How are we today? Happy Tuesday, January 20th. Are we ready for our morning reading? So let's do a little review. Yesterday in our reading, Joseph was called to read the Pharaoh's dreams, and he says that he himself cannot read the dreams, but God will, pretty much through him, right? God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. And then in Matthew, we learned the importance of planting a seed in good soil. There was a lot to unwrap in that package. We talked a lot about it, and it seemed pretty self-explanatory. I was able to learn that it broke it down more, talking about the earth, and Jesus and sowing the seed, and depending on where you plant your seed, if the ground is shallow under the soil, it's not going to have good roots. If you plant it among the thorns, you have problems there. I really love this book that Patricia has been sharing with me that she rented. It's called something along the lines of the Picture Bible or the Visual Bible, I think it was. She sent me pictures of it. I'll put it in the links below because I've been coming to rely on these sources of information. It's helping me understand these sections better. So I will put that down below. So if anybody else wants to reference that book, I think I might buy it. I skipped over the Psalm and Proverbs yesterday because I was just, so taken with the other scriptures here that I spaced it, I guess. So before we read January 20th, I want to read yesterday's Psalm and Proverbs. Here we go. Psalm 17, 1 through 15. 17, 1 through 15. Hear, O Lord, my righteous plea. Listen to my cry. Give ear to my prayer. It does not rise from deceitful lips. May my vindication come from you. May your eyes see what is right. Though you probe my heart and examine me at night, though you test me, you will find nothing. I have resolved that my mouth will not sin. As for the deeds of men, by the words of your lips, I have kept myself from the ways of the violent. My steps have held you to your paths. My feet have not slipped. That reminds me of Joseph and avoiding and running away from the married wife. I call on you, O God, for you will answer me. Give ear to me and hear my prayer. Show the wonder of your great love. You who save by your right hand those who take refuge from their foes. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. From the wicked who assail me, from my mortal enemies who surround me. They close up their callous hearts, and their mouths speak with arrogance. They have tracked me down, they now surround me, with eyes alert to throw me to the ground. They are like a lion hungry for prey, like a great lion crouching in cover. Rise up, O Lord, confront them, bring them down. Rescue me from the wicked by your sword. O Lord, by your hand, save me from such men, from men of this world whose reward is in this life. O Lord, by your hand, save me from such men, from men of this world whose reward is in this life. Wow. I like that. You still the hunger of those you cherish. Their sons have plenty, and they store up wealth for their children. And I, in righteousness, I will see your face. When I awake, I will be satisfied with seeing your likeness. Yep, there's two different kinds of people in this world. The people that store up their rewards on earth, and people that are storing up their rewards for heaven, right? Or their treasures for heaven, I should say. Okay. And our Proverbs from yesterday that I missed is Proverbs 3:33 through 35. Proverbs 3:33 through 35. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the home of the righteous. He mocks proud mockers, but gives grace to the humble. The wise inherit honor, but fools he holds up to shame. Okay, right? So that one's pretty self-explanatory. If you're going to be a jerk, he'll just be a jerk right back to you. I mean, it makes sense. I still like this part, though. Where did it say? O Lord, by your hand save me from such men, from men of this world, whose reward is in this life. Breaking that statement down means a lot to me, because by mentioning of this world implies that there's other worlds. And I don't know that heaven is exactly a world, or if it's part of this world, but I like that it says men of this world, and whose reward is in this life, right? When we store our treasures on earth, the reward ends when we die, right? But when we store our treasures for afterlife, and maybe that's what the Egyptians were all about too. Maybe that's why they stored all their treasures. They thought those kind of treasures got to go with them in the afterlife, but those weren't the real treasures, right? It's the way we treat people. I just think that's a little beautiful part of it. Alright, so today for January 20th reading, we're going to do Genesis 41:17 through 42:17. 41:17 to 42:17. Matthew is going to be 13:24 through 46. 13:24 to 46. And if I don't forget, it'll be Psalm 18:1 through 15. And Proverbs 4:1 through 6. And let's do a short little prayer. God, thank you so much for allowing me to wake up on this day. It's 10 degrees outside and it feels like -8, but hey, we're here, and glad that I got some warm air to keep me comfortable. Thank you for your understanding. May I grow to understand even more of the Bible, and anyone else who's watching or curious, may they grow to come to learn and understand your word better than they ever did before. Amen. Alright. Here we go. Genesis 41:17. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 crows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 crows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dreams, I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but no one could help me explain it. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain, scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. but 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these years, of these good years that are coming, and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to be kept in the cities for food. This food should be held in reserve for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, "Can we find anyone like this man, one who is in the spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." Okay, so Joseph has come a long way from being his father's favorite kid to his brother's worst enemy. They sold him into slavery. He became, pretty much the slave of the head of the house, the council of the guardsmen. But because that man's wife kept advancing on him, and he had to leave his cloak behind, he was set up and had to spend time in prison. Spending time in prison has allowed him to reveal dreams to people that came true. True enough that it was able to beckon him when the time came to read the Pharaoh's dream. Interpreting the Pharaoh's dream has now put him in charge of the entire kingdom, pretty much, aside from sitting on the throne. What a great underdog story we've got here. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger, just like his dream way back, right? Here he goes. He's getting ready to rule everybody. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command, and men shouted before him, "Make way!" Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. When have we ever heard of a slave becoming a ruler, right? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift a hand or foot in all of Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name, oh boy, here we go, Zaphanath-Paneah, and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, to be his wife. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Oh goodness. Okay, so his name is Zaphanath-Paneah, and his wife's name is Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. So for my Egyptian studies, I'm gonna look up Zaphanath-Paneah and read from the Egyptian side how they record Joseph. Moving on. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Wow, so that was almost 12 years younger than I am. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. How nice would it be when you go to rain to know, hey, for the next 7 years, you guys are golden with food. Like, you don't have to sweat or nothing. But yeah, you're going to have some problems afterwards. But, I mean, how lovely that he has this knowledge going into this role. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sea of the sand. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Oh my goodness. So all these little towns have all these little granaries, and they're just storing them up. And so much so that they're not even bothering keeping track anymore. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Phoroh, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh, and said, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." The second son he named Ephraim, and said, "It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in all other lands, but the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food. Then Pharaoh told all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do what he tells you." When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened up the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt, and all the countries came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe in all the world. So Joseph has the monopoly on the goods. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you keep looking at each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us so that we may live and not die." Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt, but Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain, for the famine was in the land of Canaan also. I just want to point out here, so we're going back and forth between Joseph's name, not Joseph, Jacob and Israel's name. So, Jacob is also Israel, and I'm just wondering are we going back and forth between the name Israel and Jacob because there's a significance in the way the name is being used in this sentence, or is it just because he's one and the same and we're just using both names? So if you have any context and understand that, that would be great, because when I see it as Israel, I'm wondering if I should be thinking about it a certain way, and if I'm reading it as Jacob, if I should be reading it a different way. But moving on. Now Joseph was the governor of all the land, the one who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brother arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied, "to buy food." Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them and said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see what our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them, "you have come to see where our land is unprotected." But they replied, "Your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Joseph said to them, "It is just as I told you. You are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then you are surely, as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them all in custody for 3 days. Okay. Well, here comes Joseph's opportunity for revenge or a lesson to be served, right? But we don't get to find that out till tomorrow. Because now we're going to move over to Matthew 13:24. 13:24. So, again, I just want to say, pay attention to your dreams. Record your dreams. If you have a notebook, put it next to your nightstand. My Cleopatra book that I'm also reading, her and Mark Antony and other people have serious dreams that really foretell what's going to happen, and not every dream actually is clear. Not every dream means that there's doom and gloom in the future, but there are messages in our dreams, and they're very important, even clear back to biblical times. So record your dreams, pay attention to them, listen to them. Okay, here we go. Matthew 13:24. Jesus told them, the disciples, another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, "Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? When did the weeds come from?" "Where did the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he replied. The servants asked him, "Do you want us to go and pull them up?" "No," he answered, "because while you are pulling the weeds, you may root up the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, 'First collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it to my barn.'" He told them in another parable, "The kingdom of heaven..." Well, okay, before we go into we'll read it. He told them in another parable, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all your seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and perch on its branches." He told them still another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into a large amount of flour until it worked all through the dough." Jesus spoke all these things to the crowd in parables. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. Okay, so I want to back it up. And as a gardener, I understand the value of not pulling the weeds and wanting to not jeopardize the roots of your main crop. If it was that bad, I think I would go in and I would trim the weeds down. Because I don't want them stealing nutrients for the wheat, right? I mean, the main crop anyway. But they want to wait until the harvest to gather them and burn them separately. Which, okay, I get, but that I'm a gardener. I think that's going to steal nutrients from the main crops. So I don't know what the value of that is. So then we're talking about a mustard seed, and how it's the tiniest little seed, but it grows into the mightiest of all, a mighty plant, a mighty tree that can home and give safety for birds, right? The kingdom of heaven is like yeast. A woman took and mixed into a large amount. So you got to work it, put the work in, and then it will rise. Your work will grow. Your work will rise. Your efforts will turn into a delicious, wonderfully smelling, tasting work of art. Interpretations are welcome there. Alright, and again, we learned yesterday and the day before that speaking in parables is supposed to be a way for people who don't understand the word as it's written or as they see it, so that it's more relatable to people. Yet, in this day and age, some of them we struggle with, right? It's just a sign of how times have changed. So was fulfilled what was spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world. So there's probably lots of hidden messages in these parables if we spend really good time looking. Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field." Ooh. He answered, "The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. And the good seed stands for the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemies who sow them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are the angels." Okay. So Joseph is the good seed, and his brothers are the weeds, sent by the devil. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin, and all who do evil. They will throw them into the fiery furnace, where they will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he did it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. Okay. So you need to treat every single day as if God's looking around, looking for his favorites, and when you live your life the shiniest and the righteousness, you will be pulled of the good harvest, while the ones that are not so shiny and not so righteous get to burn in the fiery furnace. Okay, Psalm 18, 1 through 15. I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I call to the Lord, who is worthy of praise. I am saved from my enemies. The cords of death entangled me. The torrents of destruction overwhelmed me. The cords of the grave coiled around me. The snares of death confronted me. In my distress, I called to the Lord. I cried to help my God for help. From his temple he heard my voice. My cry came before him into his ears. The earth trembled and quaked, and the foundations of the mountains shook. They trembled because he was angry. Smoke rose from his nostrils. Consuming fire came from his mouth. Burning coals blazed out of it. He parted the heavens and came down. Dark clouds were under his feet. He mounted the cherubim and flew. He soared on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his covering, his canopy around him. The dark rain, clouds of the sky. Out of the brightness of his presence, clouds advanced, with hailstones and bolts of lightning. The Lord thundered from heaven. The voice of the Most High resounded. He shot his arrows and scattered the enemies. Great bolts of lightning routed them. The valley of the sea were exposed, and the foundations of the earth laid bare. At your rebuke, O Lord, at the blast of breath from your nostrils. Oh my goodness. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge. He's my shield. what's going on here? Is he like dying? And there's just this crazy scene that my brain is imagining of this man with fire and amazing breath and lightning, and I don't know, kind of reminds me of like Zeus in the sky or something. But this is God. And I laid bare at your rebuke, O Lord, at the last breath. The valleys of the seas were exposed, and the foundations of the earth laid bare at your rebuke. What is happening to the earth right now? Kind of reminds me of like what would have been happening on the day that the was it the third day, fourth day, when the lands were exposed during creation. But I'm not sure what's happening in Psalm 18:1 through 15. I am open to interpretations and probably will be researching that today. Proverbs 4:1 through 6. Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teaching. When I was a boy in my father's house, still tender, and an only child of my mother, he taught me and said, lay hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or swerve from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Don't be stubborn and do things your own way. Pay attention. Pay attention to the wisdom. Right? Wow. Okay. I'm still kind of trying to unpack our psalm for the day. That one, I have to read that a few more times and really try to soak that in and research that. And if anybody has any references for that one, that'd be great. But yeah, I think it was a good reading today. Joseph's luck has changed, right? And he's had quite a life going on. But I'm still hung up on the fact that parents treat their kids with favoritism. I know that Joseph was, from the first wife, and the dad ended up having all these other sons and whatnot, but gosh, I just can't imagine what it's like having favorites. And what I'd also like to point out, though, is every time I keep wondering, why does it have to go this way? Why do people keep making these bad decisions, and then it all is a part of a plot and ends up benefiting? And I think the importance there is to realize the silver linings in the trauma that we go through, right? Some things can totally be avoided, but if they did, other things would also be avoided, other blessings, right? And sometimes we have to experience really bad things to understand how good things are or can be, or just to put things in perspective. And also, I think it also helps us learn who we are when we're in difficult situations. We learn what we're capable of, what we're capable of rising to. We don't always want to be put in situations that we're in, but what determines our character is how we handle it. Not the fact that we're in that situation, but how we deal with it. So, you guys have a great Tuesday. I hope you stay warm. I hope it's warming up outside, because it was ridiculous when I sat down. And, alright. Have a blessed day, and I hope you understand the Bible. Bye-bye.